Today we are going to be installing this super simple off-grid solar power system. Welcome back to our off-grid homestead that we are building from scratch here in North Idaho. We started off living in tents and have been slowly building up our homestead ever since, doing all of the work ourselves. Today we are going to be installing this super simple off-grid solar power system with a 4.8 kilowatt hour battery bank, two Victron 5,000 watt inverters running at 240 volt split phase, two charge controllers, and everything else that goes into it. Let's get started by first opening up the batteries and getting them up here on the shelf. These are lithium iron phosphate batteries from, oh, can you see yet? Oh yeah, buddy, from Battleborn Batteries. See how they're packaged up here. All right, we got a foam pad like this, molded foam pad. And right in here is the battery. Check this out. Look at how light that is. You can pick these things up with one hand. Try to do that with your standard lead acid battery. It ain't gonna happen. We've got some information in here about the batteries. Cool QR codes for installing the system. Wire size chart, super helpful. All right, let's open this guy up here. You notice we're like flipping these things all around in all different directions, like upside down, sideways. It's because this is different than your standard lead acid battery, right? Your flooded lead acid battery. This is a lithium iron phosphate battery. There is no venting, there is no leaking, there is no nothing. You can mount this in any direction you want, and I'll show you later here how we're gonna mount them. These are our 8 new batteries that we're installing into our system, but we do have an existing system with 8 of these batteries already. So we're gonna be expanding that and actually doubling our capacity. We're also switching from 24 volts on our old system to 48 volts on these, which means these 4 right here will be wired in series. These 4 in series, the next 4 and the next 4 will all be wired in series, and then each of these battery banks then will be wired in parallel, making one massive 48 volt battery bank. Super simple, guys. So let me show you our old system here that we're upgrading, and check this out, man. You talk about hillbilly solar shed. We're storing it all in this camping tent right here. All right, so here we go. These right here are our original 8 Battleborn batteries here, 2 small charge controllers, and 2 3,000 watt inverters. All of this right here has been powering our house, no problem, but we have been expanding our house and increasing our power needs. So we're gonna be expanding this whole system, basically, and it's gonna be pretty cool. I can't wait to get this all installed and show you guys how it's all gonna work together. It's gonna be way better than our current system. All 16 of our batteries are in now. We're not gonna wire them all up together right now. We're gonna wait until we get all of the equipment mounted on the walls. We got inverters to go up over here, charge controllers here, little computer monitoring thing right here, a bunch of other equipment. We're gonna get all that mounted up, and then we'll go ahead and we'll wire it all up together, all right? So you can see step by step how we're gonna actually wire all this stuff up. So next, let's go ahead and open up one of our solar charge controllers here. They kind of go on the wall next here, at least in my plan. All right, so as you can see, these are Victron charge controllers, and they're actually 450 volts. That means you can have 450 volts DC coming from your solar panels, which means you can run a lot of solar panels in series, which increases your voltage but lowers your amperage. Okay, you'll get the same amount of watts, but it'll be lower amps, which means you can run smaller wire from your solar panels. So we can run 10 gauge wire from our solar panels, which is relatively inexpensive because we're gonna be running like 300 and some odd volts going into these things from the panels. These are no joke solar charge controllers. They're relatively big. All right, guess it comes out like this. Whew. There we go. See right here, 450 volts, 100 amps. We've also got this Ziploc bag here with a installation manual, some screws, and a mounting plate, which makes this way easier. Mount the plate to the wall and then you hang the charge controller on it. Also has a battery temperature sensor right here. Step number 2, we've got our little brackets mounted up here. Then these guys are actually pretty light as well. One-handed hold, but you probably want to use 2. You can see right here, they've got this hanger right here. So they just go up and make sure they're seated. All right, solar charge controllers are set up there. We can run 4 different sets of panels with these, 2 in this one, 2 in this one. They're smart, they communicate with each other so that there's no like confusion on charging or anything like that. We'll show you again how we hook these things up with a data cable and all of that to make sure that everybody's playing well together. They don't have a problem with that though. Next is another Victron product here. This is the Lynx distributor. Looks like this. Basically it's a super fancy bus bar. You get a little data cable with it as well. We've got 2 of these, 1 and 2. We'll go ahead and get these mounted up there on the wall as well. You're gonna want a small square screwdriver bit to get into these bad boys. Maybe a Phillips will work as well. We'll check it out here once we get these screws out and see. Definitely a square works though. It looks like a Phillips would work also. Oh man, these guys are beefy. What's cool about these two is that they actually go together, right? Watch. Take off these covers here, hopefully, while they're on there, man. These rubber covers like this, and then this guy is gonna bolt right to there, and it's gonna make it actually 2, but they're gonna be put together as 1. There we go. Bam, baby. It's cool. These have some serious heft to them as well. But this is what they look like put together. The next 2 components that we really want to concern ourselves with is 1, the negative battery shunt. And this goes on the negative closest to the battery. All your loads come off of the load side of this. Nothing can be before this. It's negative, battery negative goes into here. And then everything else comes off of there. And then this is like a super surge protector. And so both of these go on the negative side, but we're gonna wait to mount these to the wall until we get ready to wire it up because it's gonna depend on the length of the wire. There's not gonna be a lot of play in here because we're using 2-aught wire to wire this battery bank up to the system. So we'll just set them up here for right now. This is what we've got so far. We've got our 16 batteries up here on the wall. We've got our 2 charge controllers and then our 2 load distributors here, which are the Lynx distributor right there. So next, I guess, is our inverters. They're gonna go right up here on the wall, and they are heavy beasts. Let's open one up and we'll see what's inside. All right, this is the Victron Quattro. It is 5,000 watts at 48 volts. We've got 2 of them so that we will be able to get 240 volt split phase at we'll have 10,000 watts at 240 volts. And so we'll be able to run whatever we need to run on our homestead, man. Here's another mounting plate right there. We got a book. We've got some screws and mounting information there. Let's see if we can't get this bad boy out of here. Guess we're gonna have to cut the box open. I was hoping to save the box. There we go. I might actually need some help getting that thing on the wall. Switches here, little panel. We got our connections down here. Cables come into it from the bottom. On the back here, we have the hook where we'll put the mounting plate in. Our mounting plate, and it's gonna go up. It's gonna go like this. And this is just gonna hang right here. Watts, what are you doing, my friend? This is Watts. He is one of our solar shed kitties. This is his home. We're actually installing this in. And he is a mousa, him and his sister. Watts and Ray. I don't know where Ray is right now, but this is Watts. It's cool because we insulated the shed, we sheetrocked it, painted it, made it super nice in here. But we did that so that the batteries would be nice and warm this winter. And dude, you're making a big mess, man. What are you doing over there, huh? He's like, well, I think I want to crawl around on the toolbox. Just let me crawl around on the toolbox, guys. Anyway, it's gonna make a nice warm house for him and his sister, Ray. We've got our 2 brackets mounted up there for the inverters. And like I said, those things are way heavy, but I'm gonna try and see if I can get them mounted up there on it by myself. We'll find out. Oh man. All right, here we go. We need your strength. Oh, wow, okay. We did it. We got one up there. Come on, buddy. Straight. Oh, all right. We got our 2 inverters up here. So far, everything's like it ought to be. I would have liked a little bit more space right here, but it'll be okay. Next, we're going to go ahead and install our AC load center. Next thing up here is the Cerbo right here, this little computer screen, and this is the controller for it. It gives us Wi-Fi access to our solar system so that we can monitor it from anywhere in the world. Yes, right here with this guy. And then this will be a cool graphic interface here, let you program stuff, let you monitor things like that. Also through Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, so we could check it while we're in the house, or like I said, anywhere in the world. I think we're gonna go ahead and put this guy right here out of the way, like that, and then the screen will actually go right here so that you can come in and you can monitor it all from right here. See it real easy. Okay, we got all of our panels here open so we can start wiring all of this together. First thing we're gonna do is run these in series, which means we need to go from the negative here to the positive here, negative, positive, all the way down this way, down that way. So we need 12 short pieces that are gonna actually connect these two together right here. I already measured and cut the first piece right here. And you want to get some of these pliers right here, like this, man. These cable cutters, oh, they cut through it like butter. And it cuts it clean, right? So you don't have an ugly mess that you're gonna try to fit into your lug to do on your battery. So check this out. I'll show you how easy it is. All right, so we're just cutting them this long, line them up here, dink dink, like this. Yep, about that long. Ready? Watch this. Super simple, man. And look how clean that cut that thing. Oh, it's beautiful. All right, so we got to cut up 12 of these guys so that we can wire this thing all up, man. These right here are the cable lugs that we're going to be putting on our cables. And that way we can screw them in and bolt them into our batteries here. All right, so this is going to go on here somehow. No, I know how it's going to go. So what you want to do is you just want to measure down about how far you want to cut. Take your knife, trim around it like this. Hopefully that's far enough. Nope, not quite far enough. And you do want to be careful when you're doing this because the strands of copper inside this cable are pretty small and you don't really want to be cutting them. So you got your cable like that, and that's why you want a clean cut on here because you're gonna have to fit this inside of here like that. Dude, what are you doing, man? Huh? What are you doing? All right, so we got them all cut now like this. We'll go ahead and put the lugs on them and get them up so we can get these guys all wired up together. I'll show you how we put the lugs on, at least how I do it. There's some other tools that you can use, but the one that I've got works super simple and it was inexpensive. So this right here is the crimper that I like to use. There's other ones, there's hydraulic crimpers. You could solder your lugs as well. This one's just really easy and inexpensive. You know, I will put some links down in the description below to the tools that we use, all of the parts that we're using on our solar system and all of that. So you can go ahead and check like current prices. You can read reviews about all the stuff we're using. And if you see some of the tools that you like, you know, you can go ahead and pick those up as well. All right, so you just open this thing up like this. You go ahead and put your cable and your lug in there, close it down on it, and then you just hold it in there, give it a couple taps. It'll set it, and then you want to give it a few whacks. And you definitely want to do this on something that is super solid, right? So something like this stump works good. Give it a few whacks. You'll hear when it sets all the way. You can't like go any further with it. And then you're set, man. Go ahead and lift it up. And you've got a beautifully crimped cable just like that. I do like to go ahead and give them a little pre-bend in it before I actually start crimping it, because if you'll notice here, say like, see this one right here, it's not really bent yet. But when you bend them, okay, now look, you see how some of this side gets longer. Well, that'll make it a lot easier to bend into the spot that you want because they're already pre-bent. Otherwise, they get really stiff. Even though they're flexible now, once you put these crimps on there and you have a short piece like this, they get pretty stiff. So I recommend pre-bending them. Here we go. We got one cable made. Put our heat shrink on there and be good to go. Ready to connect 2 batteries together. Go ahead and make up the rest here, and then we set. All right, check it out. All of our battery cables are made up. We've got most of it all wired up here, looking good. And don't worry, we will go over the whole thing in detail, showing you how everything is wired up. But first, we need to get our solar panels coming into our charge controller so we can start charging our batteries. And then we can start using them, man. Let me show you what we've got for our solar panels before we start trying to hook them up in there. So we've got 6 panels here and 4 panels right down there. That's given us right around 3,000 watts of solar power here. We're gonna be adding 16 more panels. So we're gonna be up around 5,500 to 6,000 watts of solar panels in the soon to near future. All right, so let's cruise in. We'll get those solar panels hooked up, and then we'll turn it on and see if it all works. First things first, we gotta drill a hole right down here so that we can get our solar panels in from the outside. All right, so we've got our hole drilled. We'll run the cables in from the outside, bring them up to the charge controller. Cool, man. Cool, man, we got them. Got them coming through. All right, so we've got our 2 wires here. We've got PV1, PV2 here. So we put them in through here. Come on, buddy. Positive. I put some red tape on the positive one. That way I just be sure to know, which one is which. It'd be a bummer to make a mistake. And by the way, these the solar panels are disconnected, so there's no power here. These are just wires, no power. So right, like you notice, we only have 2 sets of cables coming in, but we've got PV1, PV2, PV1, PV2. So this can be for 2 more sets of solar panels, which we will have once we get the additional 16 panels put in. We're gonna run 8 of them in series and the other 8 in series. So that'll fill up these other 2 ones right here. So for right now, we're just using this charge controller. I think we got everything hooked up now. Let's go over the wiring one last time here, just to make sure that everything is where it's supposed to be, and then we'll turn it on and see if it doesn't smoke. All right, solar power is coming in and coming up to the charge controller. Positive to positive, positive to positive, negative to negative. All right, that's good. Let's see here, we've got a positive and a negative. And those are on the right ones. Positive up here, negative over there. Those come down into this giant bus bar, fancy bus bar here. And they come right here, positive and negative down here. Through a fuse up to the positive bus bar. This one right here is not hooked up. We're not using this one right now, but the positive and negative come down. There's no fuse connecting the positive here. The negative is down underneath here. All right, so that's the charge controllers. They seem to be right. Let's start over here at the batteries now. All right, all of these positive to negative. So this is 48 volts, 48 volts, 48 volts, 48 volts. And then down here, we've got them running parallel. So it's negative to negative, negative to negative. And then coming off of the top negative, we come up and we go to our battery shunt right here. This is the monitor, basically tells you how much power you've got. Data cable coming off of there, power coming into it. And right here is the battery monitor. Of course, it's not on because we don't have the batteries turned on yet. This is our super surge protector thingy. And we got power coming into it to run this little board that's under here. We come down this way, negative. Battery comes off of here, runs down, and goes right here into our negative bus bar. Positive here comes from here through a switch up to here and goes to the opposite side. Notice we're taking the positive off of this corner and the negative off of that corner. So the batteries are fine. Positive goes positive. It goes through this fuse right here up to the positive bus bar. And then we've got these two coming off, positive and negative under here. Positive come up to our inverter, positive and negative, okay? And then the other two come up, positive and negative. These are data cables right here. So data cables that tie. This one gets tied into this one, and this is the master, this is the slave. These are going to run in split phase, 240 volts coming out of it. So that's the DC input into the inverters. We also have an AC input that comes from the generator, AC in right here, and then over on this one we've got AC in. So our generator is a 240 volt generator, and it brings power in to charge the batteries when it's been cloudy for a long time and your solar's not producing enough. So that power comes in right here from outside at the generator, comes up and goes into here into AC1, which is line and neutral and then ground. And then this one over here comes up and goes in here to line, neutral, and ground. All right, so that's all of our input power that can charge the batteries. Now we need to get the power out of the inverters and to the house. We've got line out right here. Look at that, AC out 1 right there. We've got line and neutral, and then over here AC out 1, line and neutral. So those come down right here over into our AC distribution. This one here comes down and goes into there as well. All right, so we've got line 1, line 2, ground, neutral bar right here. Everything there is good. We go right here, we go out of here, out through these breakers. We've got a 50 amp breaker that runs to the house, 20 amp breaker that controls these outlets over here and the lights that are going to be up there. So this goes down through the wall, and never mind the total disaster out here, guys. We had to empty the shed, and we've just been making a big mess installing all this. But it comes out right here, underground, over to the house, goes in right there, and then goes over to the panel. I guess I'll show you that right now here real quick, because in the past, we've gotten some questions about how our house is wired up. So I'll just show you. And the wire is still loose in here, okay? It's not 100% done, but I want to finish this video for you guys. All right, so we're coming in here, we go up, we come along here, over here, down, and into the panel right over there. It's a standard residential panel, just like any other house. And it's got breakers and everything, just like normal, right? So our system just feeds the regular residential panel. Now, we are off grid, right? So there's no grid power coming into this. It's all just run off of these batteries over here. All right, so data goes to here, syncs these two together. Data comes out of here and goes into this guy right here, right back there. And then right here, cable comes out. That's a HDMI cable. And that comes over here to this little monitor. We've got our security camera plugged into a USB on here, which is right up there. And then what else we got? Oh yeah, we've got this data cable coming out of here. Charge controller comes down, goes in right back there. And this right here is another data cable that follows up here and goes to this monitor right here. All right, so that's basically it, right? That's like everything, pretty much, I think. Well, we've got this power cable coming off of here, which comes up and it actually gets its power just from right here. That was just a simple place to put it. It has its own fuse to protect it, which is actually just tucked in right here. So there's its fuse. Power coming off of here that runs up and goes and then powers this guy, and it connects right there. And then this guy connects right over here, provides power for the shunt, and then through the data cable provides power to this guy right here. It is a good thing we went over this one last time. I was ready to flip the switch and let her rock, but forgot to ground everything. So thank you for catching that for me. Go ahead, I'm gonna get all the grounds hooked up and then we'll be ready. I'll show you the grounds and then we'll flip the switch and see if it works. All right, Now we've got it grounded. Ground wire comes down this way, comes up to here, grounds this one, comes over to here, grounds that one, comes down and goes into the ground here. This big ground wire goes outside. Where is it? Right there to a ground rod. So now everything should be complete. These are the 4 things that need to be grounded. There's no ground lug on this. There's no ground lug on that. No ground lugs on the batteries. So I think we're good to go. Let's flip the switch and see if it works. There is still no power coming into our charge controller. We're going to turn on this, make sure everything works here, and then we'll hook up the solar panels to it. So here we go. Ready? I don't see any sparks or smoke. That's a good sign right here, okay? So we're doing good. Let's see. Let's just check our voltage here. Negative to positive. We've got 53 volts right now. Okay, so that's good. Everything there's looking good. Let's see. Breakers are off. This guy's looks like it's booting up. That'll take just a second here, I imagine. Hopefully this comes on here in a second. All right, here we go. Look at this. Everything's on there. AC inputs, nothing. AC loads is nothing. Inverters are off. It says our batteries are at 100%. That's just default. Once it charges up to 100%, then it will actually start calculating it properly. Inverters are on. They say they're inverting. This right here says inverting. And our AC load right now is at 0 watts. We have our breakers off right now. So let's go ahead and check our voltage here. We should have 240 or 220 volts. Yep, 240 volts right there. And to neutral, 120 and 120. All right, everything there is working good. Let's go ahead and let's put a load on it. Go ahead and turn the house on. House is on. It says our total AC load is about 229 watts, 150 watts on line 1, which is this inverter, and 69 watts on line 2, which is that inverter up there. So that seems to be working fine. Let's go ahead and hook up the solar panels and see if we can't get our charge controller working and start charging the batteries. We've got a beautiful sunny day out there. All right, solar panels are hooked up. Where's our switch? Right here. Switch on. And there we go. We're on, buddy. Let's see how we're doing. All right, so we're putting 2300 watts coming in from our solar panels. You can see these little bubbles moving. That's showing you the way that power is flowing. It's going into the battery. We're charging the batteries at about 2000 watts. And then we're coming up here into the inverter and going out to our AC loads at about 241 watts, 240 watts, right around there. All this is bouncing around a little bit. We've got everything buttoned up now, looking good. I am so happy with the way that this came out. And I want to thank Battleborn Batteries for sponsoring this video. Why do we go with Battleborn? Well, I'll tell you what, man. These are lithium iron phosphate batteries, and there is like 0 maintenance to go into them. You don't need to worry about venting them. You can mount them in any direction. And compared to your flooded lead acid batteries, these guys have like double the capacity. Let me explain really quick here. You've got a 100 amp hour battery here, right? And if this was a 100 amp hour flooded lead acid battery, they don't want you to use more than 50%, right? So basically you have 50 amp hours to work with. With these batteries, you can use the whole 100 amp hours. You can drain these all the way down to 0 without damaging the battery. So that is really cool because basically you double your capacity with the exact same battery. So we have 4.8 kilowatt hours of battery storage here, and we can use 100% of that 4.8 kilowatts. And each one of these batteries has a built-in battery management system, which is basically like a little guardian, a little protector that makes sure that you really can't mess these up. If it gets too cold, they just shut off and they won't let you charge them and damage the battery. If it gets too hot, same thing. You can't overcharge them, you can't undercharge them. They just protect everything in here and make it super simple. That's what I'm saying, guys. This is like the simplest off-grid setup, right? No maintenance. Once it's in, that is it. Just let it run. As soon as we get started setting up our 16 new solar panels, I will link that video right up here for you. But in the meantime, I picked out this video for you to go ahead and watch next. I hope you guys have a really great day and keep smiling.